Hey, what's up folks? Mike Locke here, MLF Consulting. Thanks for checking out this video. So in this video I wanted to go over wireframes and go over some examples and give you some ideas to keep in mind when designing your websites. One of the things that I like to do, or if you're interested in finding out where some good wireframe examples are, just go to flickr.com and do a search for wireframes, all one word, like this. You get to a page that looks like this, and one of the things, you can click around here and see all the different types of wireframes. Now, one of the things that I like to keep in mind when designing wireframes, there's two types of wireframes. There's a wireframe that I would call a low fidelity wireframe, which is something like this, right? This could be done on a piece of paper, and low fidelity meaning that the details aren't in the wireframe. The wireframe is just to sort of hash out your ideas, to lay out your ideas of what the site might look like, maybe just to get an idea of where you want to lay out certain components on the site, right? So there's no details in a low fidelity wireframe, and mostly when you're getting started with a website, I recommend going that route. And so here's another example of a low fidelity wireframe where you can just pretty much take out a piece of paper or the back of a napkin and just start jotting down ideas on how you kind of see the site being laid out. And then the other side of a wireframe is something like this, which is a high fidelity wireframe, where if you see here, a high fidelity wireframe is really clean, but you see they already have the font type picked out. They have this rounded corners in here. They have the size of the fonts, and they have a lot of little details in here that could be an issue when you're at an early phase of designing a mockup. So an example would be if you're designing a mockup for your company or a team, and you're now wanting to present this wireframe to a development team or to get sign off to go further, maybe it's your client. They might look at this wireframe and say, you know what, can you make my font bigger? And because you have fonts, you have the font size in here and you have it small, that might take away from the goal that you're trying to achieve with the wireframe, where it might just be, hey, I want to get sign off on the way this is laid out, whether we should have navigation on the left or right. So having a high fidelity wireframe isn't really a good first step. You really want to go here, go something like this, where the client goes, yeah, okay, I like the fact that we're going to have two boxes on this page, and we're going to have a big box down here with content. So then you move forward and you'll get to something like this, and then you'll progress through the steps in designing your website. Now, here's another wireframe that I got from another designer, MikePrecious.com, and he shows wireframes of his work, and this is a really high fidelity wireframe. So I wouldn't recommend starting at this level of detail, because again, you show this to a client, they may focus on the fact that there's an arrow right here, versus the fact that you're just trying to get it, you're just trying to get the user interface, approved from your client. But they might be focused on the fact that this font here is black, when that essentially is not going to be the color at the very end. Okay, so this is, remember, high fidelity, low fidelity. And one tool that I found out recently was a good tool that I started using was this tool called Mockingbird. It's just, if you go to gomockingbird.com, it's a site. It doesn't work on IE, but it works on Firefox and Chrome, so and other browsers. But if you go ahead and try this out, it's a really cool online platform for designing wireframes. Now, what you can do, if you look on the left here, they have all these little tools and components that you can use. So all you do is just drag it onto the page, and you can start laying out your site. You can have here's a box of an image, Obviously this could be your logo. You could say, I want some buttons over here, and you can add buttons. All you do is click in there and just go button 4. That's all you got to do, and then you can just spread it out. You can add a search box if you want, and it's all done online. You can save it. You can add multiple pages. Let me see if there's any other. There's a bunch of cool features. If you see here on the left hand side, there's check boxes. You can add a music player, which is cool. So an example would be if you are designing a site and this was your music player, you could do something like that. So what's cool about this is that these little components are already pre-built, and where I normally would use Fireworks to do my mock-ups or my wireframes, I'm now starting to use this because all these little components are pre-built, and they allow you to easily create a nice clean mock-up. You see, so go to gomockingbird.com and check it out. Let me show you an example of a wireframe that I recently did. This is a site that I did for my wife. Believe it or not, she's a real estate agent, and she was on me about creating a website for her. And so one weekend, one night, I was just I opened up Mockingbird and I started laying out her site the way I see it fit. So if you look in this area, this would be the logo. This is her navigation bar. This is a little number, her phone number. And this is obviously the billboard section. I wanted a photo of her here. This little area would be like the home search, and I had a map. There's actually a map feature in this in these tools. The graph, and then her blog post. So check this out. I used this site to create the mock-up here, and then it ended up being this. So here's the end result. You have the logo at the top left, navigation bar, the phone number. Here's the billboard. Again, because this is a low fidelity wireframe, basically you can have anything in this position here. So and that's what I like about low fidelity wireframes, is that it doesn't lead you down a path that you might not want to go. It actually just keeps the canvas at a blank slate, so that when you get to the creative portion of mocking up your site, let's say in Photoshop or Fireworks, then you can decide what you want to have in this section. Photo here, and then here's the home search area that I talked about, which is right here. And you can see these little icons. All this was done in Mockingbird. And then when I went to go and mock up the site, I created, obviously, the official icons here. So here's her blog post. Let me just show you that in Mockingbird, right up here. And then you have the footer. Here's the footer here. And that's it. Okay, so basically, if you go to mockingbird.com, I recommend going there and then, start playing with it, and keep in mind that this is a low fidelity wireframes, and I highly recommend starting very low and not so high in detail, because what it does, the main purpose of wireframing out your website is to kind of lay out where you want certain components, how you want the user interface to look, and to sort of give you an idea of how much content you're going to have on the site, and sort of prepare it that way. Because if you start mocking up your sites in Fireworks, which I do a lot, you tend to be biased a little bit and start going down a creative path that you might not have thought of if you're starting here. So you might if you start mocking up your site in Photoshop or Fireworks, then you end up not being so open in a creative sense of exploring multiple ideas. Okay, so again, go to mockingbird.com, and start playing around with it. You can go to flickr.com to just check out some wireframe examples, and hopefully you can start using this, and it becomes a part of your your development process. All right. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, mlock@mlwebcode.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions for you. All right. We'll talk soon.